You are listening to the Main Event Moto podcast.
Home, sweet home. Joe, I've never been happier to be in California. Not because Texas was bad. I was just there too long. I missed the fam. I missed the kids. And I missed Joe. What's up, Joe?
What's up, buddy?
How you doing?
I'm so good.
How was your week?
The week was great.
What'd you do? Tell me what you did. Everything.
Man,
Run me through it. Start Monday. What'd you do Monday?
I just worked and played.
Nice.
Yeah.
How about Tuesday? It's going to be a good show, bro. 185. I am home, and it feels good to be back in the new Batcave, which looks the same. Even a couple little modifications since last time I'm here. You're continuing to develop.
We're moving along.
And I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. But you changed the thing in the bathroom that I found comical last time I was here.
Yeah.
Why did you change the funny thing in the bathroom?
The adhesive started to give away, and it was coming off, and I didn't want to come out there one day and see it sitting in the toilet, so I had to take it off. I have some new stuff. I'll put it back up.
Okay, surprise me. Give me something funny in the toilet, because it's just more fun when you get to pee on something, you know? It just, especially when it's something that you put in there specifically for a reason. I find that to be comical. We got a good guest today.
Oh, yeah.
His name is Andrew Gregg. Does anyone call you that? Is that your birth certificate? Did we already go over this? I think I asked you this before.
Wife calls me that when possibly done something I should have asked, first. I should have been maybe, hey, can I do that? Instead, I chose to, I'll just ask for forgiveness. And so Andrew,
so you know when you made a mistake.
Yeah, and now the girls at work have caught on to that, and so I'm getting Andrew at work a lot too.
Thought you were going to bring the girls from work. Where's the girls from work? They said they wanted to be on the pod, and you said they know their stuff.
They do. They know their stuff. They know.
So what do they think about Dino? Have you talked to him yet? We're going to talk a lot about Dino in this show.
I haven't talked to the girls yet. I figured I like to talk to them in person about this stuff. So tomorrow,
you get the rundown.
Yep, coffee in the morning. They'll let me know what's up.
Hey, I don't mean to bring the fire right out of the gate, but what do you think of Dino?
You know what?
Let's get in. Let's ease in, right, Joe? I'm just being sarcastic because obviously, Joe, I'll use your words. Oh boy, right? Oh boy.
Yep.
This is going to be a tough one to cover because, again, I'm already feeling the heat a little bit. Round one, Christian Craig not thoroughly impressed with some of my commentary. RJ Hampshire not thoroughly impressed with some of my commentary. And I have a feeling there'll be others unimpressed when we get to Indy. So we'll get into it. But it's going to be a good show. We'll have some fun. Joe, what's your first thought, though? Just now that we've seen 3, Houston is over, 1, 2, 3. My thoughts are 250 class, dang it, we lost some firepower. 450 class, what the hell's going on in the 450 class, man? It's the way it should be. It's all over the place. It's great. But, what's your first thoughts now that we've had 3 in?
That's exactly it. It's been great. It's exciting racing, man. You never know what the hell's going to happen. And last night was no exception. It delivered.
Wild,
on
right?
Action. Yeah.
Wild. This track was better, too. Did you think, Andy, too?
Yeah, this was my favorite track so far.
Just because it was slower, right? And had weird technical, that wall. I liked all that stuff. It just made the guys have to slow it up and do things. Before I feel like they were just on rails. This track, I feel like they had to think more and, be a little more strategic. That's what I feel.
Yeah, the lap times definitely helped. I think I saw 20 laps for the 250 main event and 26 for the 450s from last night. And that's a big improvement, I feel.
They did 29 on round 2, right?
Yeah. So
is lapping the guy going for 10th place a slow track?
Wait, Joe, you want to just get into it? What?
Yeah.
I was gonna ease into it. You want to go there?
There's no easing into it.
Oh, is that what we do? We just go right to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No foreplay.
Okay. Who wants to take their first shot at this thing? Because I got all thoughts. They're not filed away in the filing cabinet in my brain yet. I'm still scattered a little bit.
I'll go first. No apology needed. That was I don't think Dino needed to do that.
Okay. And I'm with you on that. I actually, when I read it, I thought to myself, all right, Dean, I get it. I understand why I think he did it.
Well, I think he did it to control the narrative and to allow a commonplace for. He knows they're gonna pile on. So instead of going and piling on some random YouTube video of some dude's iPhone, he gave them a platform to dump it all on him.
He said,
and to control the narrative.
Yes,
which I understand, but I just personally I don't think that the apology was necessary.
I don't either. Andy, do you think he needed to apologize again? I like that he did it, Joe. From a character standpoint, I appreciate Dean being a good dude and going out there and taking the hit and being respectful.
Yeah, I do too.
But
this
in
is
reality,
a more personal sport. And it's not like you can't compare it to NASCAR or NFL or whatever other sport. This is a more personal sport. The fans are more personally involved. The athletes are more personally connected. I mean, Cooper himself was commenting in there, in that.
It's funny when like the riders are in there commenting and arguing back a little bit. Even Kenny would kind of threw back like, hey, yeah, accepted, but be aware of your surround. You know what I mean? And then Cooper was like arguing with someone else over something. But I love it. But I'm with you. I don't feel like he had to. It was obvious. I don't know if he was guided to do that, but he didn't. This is so hard, man. Because again, it's hard because of the names and the numbers. It's Dean. He's such a good dude. He's not. It wasn't malicious. It was just. I mean, we'll get into it frame by frame. But Andy, do you feel like he needed to do that? Did you respect his decision to make an apology, make it public?
Yeah, no, I totally respected the decision to apologize, but I think his apology didn't have to be written that way. I mean, it's more of like, hey, man, sorry. I should have been more aware of the blue flag, but still, at the end of the day, it was a racing deal. Wasn't anything on purpose, and just left it at that. It didn't need. So
you think it was too far? It was too detailed and explained. Joe, do you agree with that? Because that makes sense to me too.
I think if he was going to apologize, it should have just gone up to Kenny. And his lady and be like, hey, buddy, sorry, you know how it goes sometimes, and left it at that. He doesn't owe the general public anything.
Do you think this, though? Okay, the public is furious, man. I mean, we'll get into it. I'll tease my downer right now that the comments that are coming Dean's way are way too much, people. I mean, I'm seeing like, F him. F him?
That's just a day and age kind of thing.
I know.
Everybody thinks they're entitled to some sort of opinion and platform.
I know,
now.
But I think the apology was a little bit of, man, they're going to crush me. But if I at least come at this from an apologetic stance and whatever, maybe the hit will be less and they'll move on quicker. You know what I mean?
There will be fewer boos next week. Yeah.
Have you ever been in a situation, either one of you, where you did something that, it was wrong, but there was no intent and you don't really feel like you were in the wrong, but you get it. So you're like, hey, man, my bad. I apologize. Yeah, but then in your head, you're going, give me a break. Have you ever been in that? I mean, I feel like I've probably done that 100 times.
All the time.
All the time. Andy, I'm sorry, but I'm really not.
Yeah, sorry. I'm saying sorry just to kind of keep it copacetic, but really lick my balls.
I've been there. A couple years ago, I won a pretty big race at Placerville Speedway, and I was running second, and we had a caution, and the guy leading the race, he was running a different line than me, and I took the lower line, and I didn't cut the guy any slack coming off the corner. We never touched wheels. I mean, at all. Next lap around, I don't know if he was rattled or what, but he spun himself out. And then
it was all about you.
Yeah. It was all my fault because he's never won a race, and I cost him his first ever win, and blah blah blah. And the crowd was booing, but that was the funny part.
They booed you?
Yeah. But what was
love it.
Because the announcers talk, this could be his first win ever.
They're hyping him up, and then Andy comes in
and we never touched wheels. I passed him fine, and like I said, it was over a lap later. He spun out on his own. So, and so in the winner's circle, I came in, all like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry to see, that he spun out. He had a great race going. He was driving a good race, blah blah blah. And deep inside, I just wanted to pop the champagne and celebrate.
And spray him.
Yeah, because it didn't, he wasn't
not the kids though, Joe, right? Not the kids.
Never.
He wasn't going to win.
Yeah.
I was feeling it that night. So
I was going to get you anyway, buddy.
Yeah.
At least I give you an excuse. I was going to get you regardless. No, that's how I feel about it. I feel like he's getting in front, trying to get in front of the insane backlash, and just take the high road and put it on himself, which I appreciate. But at the same time, I don't think he needed to do it because I don't think he did anything malicious. And that's a big thing for me, too. I judge everything by intent. If the intent was there, then that's BS. But people make mistakes. He made a mistake. He was a little unaware, but at the same time, I'm going to plead his case. Can I be his lawyer for just a second? And y'all are going to hate me for this, but that's fine. I really don't care. I've moved past that. Dean Wilson is... Andy, he's 1 year deal every year. He doesn't have a 2 or 3 year big money contract where he's got security. That guy is fighting every year to do whatever he can to get another year so he can fight the next year to get another year. And guess what? he's battling. There's guys not that far in front of him. The blue flag is out. Obviously, no one's just on him just yet. And in his head, he's probably thinking, I'm a minute or two away from ending this thing. I'm still probably feeling physically okay. I'm trying to pass a guy or two, and I'm trying to fight for a finish because guess what? I need to rack these points and these finishes up to get a ride again next year. And when you're in that frame of mind and you're always fighting for the ride, you're not going to be Mr. Nice Guy and pull over and wave your buddy by. You're going to fight and maybe make a poor decision and maybe not be fully aware. But again, his intent wasn't, I'm going to screw Ken. I'm going to give this thing to Cooper. I can't wait for everyone to just crush me on Instagram. I can't wait for it. I'm going to do this on purpose. And for me, with the intent is not there, I have a hard time coming down on a guy that hard. And that's why I have a problem when I see F him and some of the mother effers that he's getting on Instagram. It's when the intent isn't there, I can't pile on a guy for that, for what I consider to be a mistake. A mistake. That's it. A mistake. And yes, it cost Kenny, but we're going to get to Kenny. But are you guys feeling me there? Like, he didn't do it on purpose. So how can you hammer him that hard? I can see, come on, Dino. Come on, man. But for him to be receiving what he's getting online, I feel is insanely inappropriate for what he did.
What about James Stewart in Atlanta a few years ago? He said he'd never been lapped before. Remember, I don't remember who he
Marv.
cost. Yeah, he cost Marv the win, and he's like, oh, I didn't know what to do. I've never been in that situation. Like you guys act like this is the first time this has ever happened.
Oh, it happened in the heat race. A-Ray, I don't know if he brake checked probably on accident, but he took Barsh out in the heat race as a lapper too. It happens. It's part of these guys are going so fast on this little tight track, and if you're in the middle of a battle, it's really, really, really hard to have the awareness. And if I'm being honest, I hate what I'm about to say, Joe.
Say it.
But if you want to preach awareness, Tuesday night, Kenny had some awareness issues himself with the red flag. And again, I feel bad for him, but he did jump a double with the red cross flag with riders right in front of him who did not do the double. So it's not like they all doubled too. They didn't, and he did. So if you want to talk awareness and being aware of what's on the track and the flags of all things, it's a little rich to come that hard on Dino. When 3 nights before that, you had your own issues with a flag and lack of awareness. I'm sorry. Right? That is extreme. I know that's a little harsh, but that's true.
No, it's not harsh. Yeah.
But it's the truth. And emotionally, everyone's feeling it for Kenny. I am too. I'm feeling it because he rode a great race. I believe he was going to win that. Cooper was not going to get him straight up. Kenny was going to win, in my opinion. And it did cost him. But at the same time, it's dirt bike racing, man. A lot of things are going on out there. It's really, really hard for these guys to be fully aware when they're in the middle of a fight and a battle, which Dean was still in. He was still chasing something. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say that, I'm trying not to dance. I'm trying to be as honest as I can, but I'm still dancing because I do feel bad for Kenny. But at the same time, again, there was no intent there. This is part of racing. It's 20 minutes plus 1 lap. There's a lot of variables out there, and sometimes this stuff happens, and it's part of the sport. It's part of the sport. Lap riders. In fact, if you don't like it, then don't watch the next 14 rounds because you're going to see a lot of lap traffic, especially in the 250 class, and they're going to cost some things. They're going to influence some races. It's going to happen, Andy.
Well, I felt like last night's 250 main event, poor Lane Shaw went wide, and when he did, so did Christian Craig, and that was when they were in the heat of the battle, and that helped Colt actually gap Craig a little bit right there. And if Lane wouldn't have been, he wouldn't have been on the outside like that in the corner, and Christian had a better drive at that last rhythm, it could have been a lot closer at the end. You could say that almost week in and week out. At some point, a lapper here or there has affected one rider.
Yeah, it's part of the game. Webb lost 2 or 3 seconds with 5 minutes to go because of lap traffic. It's part of the game. And again, you got to be able to execute whatever's thrown at you. And again, Dean definitely, without question, got in his way. I'm not saying that. So if anybody out there that thinks that I'm blind, I didn't see it, I saw it.
I wouldn't say got in his way. I would just say he was in his way. Yeah. Saying got sounds like intent.
Yeah, okay. You're right. Got in his way. Wow, there's a blue flag. I'm watching it right now back. And yeah, he's just battling it out. Oh boy. There's 2 guys right there in front of Dean, still fighting for it. There's Brayton, there's Osborne.
K-Rock says he was yelling the whole time, which I get. And again,
you can't hear that.
My thing is just if he wanted to say he was sorry, he should have just gone to Kenny, pro to pro, shook his hand and said like, hey, bro, you know how it is.
I don't want to pile on Kenny here right now, but at the same time, Andy, I mean, why did he double to the outside?
Yeah, when you have Cooper Webb behind you,
especially Cooper of all people, you don't
give him the inside,
not 1 inch of the inside.
I mean, Cooper chose to follow Dean Wilson through the inside, so a lot when you're racing a car, the same thing applies. That sometimes if the lapper is in the faster, more preferred line, you still take it, even if the lapper's there, because the guy behind you could just suck in the preferred line and pass you, and that's what Cooper did. He chose to just take the preferred line and go to the inside like everybody else was.
And then shoot across and block.
Yep.
It was, I mean, again, just to put a big old bow on this, Dean Wilson did cost Ken Roczen, I think, the victory, without question. But to hammer Dean for it, there was no intent. I think it's a little over the top the way they hit him. Joe, I'm with you. I think it was a little over top with the apology. I think it was probably too much. I think he could have said half as much and been fine. And for Ken Roczen, again, rode an unbelievable race. But when it mattered on that last lap and he had to deal with the variable that was thrown at him, he didn't handle it. And he had the wrong guy behind him. Maybe Zach Osborne doesn't get him. Maybe AC doesn't get him. But when you have Cooper Webb behind you and you come into that last lap and you're dealing with that, don't leave the door open. He should have went to the inside and blocked it. And Cooper is a shark in the water, man. Like he's the master of that stuff, you know? Like, and I guess to put a final period on it as well, if roles were reversed and it was the last lap and it was Cooper with Kenny running him down, Joe, who would have won?
Cooper
would have won. Andy?
For sure.
So
Cooper.
Is that a race? That comes down to racecraft. Cooper just has it. I honestly think just has those instincts. And it's not like Kenny doesn't have them. Kenny's one of the best riders in the world, but Cooper has off the charts instincts. He just sees things. I mean, we've seen this happen time and time again. And it was just the perfect storm of crap for Kenny. But at the same time, at the end of the day, Cooper gets 26 points and the bonus check's going to clear. It's part of racing. 20 minutes plus 1 lap. A lot of things come at you. Sometimes it's Vince Freese's bike coming at you backwards in a rhythm section. It's part of it. You have to deal. Just ask Moose Kid.
Yeah, you have to deal with a lot of things out there, and you still have to execute them. And even when a rider is blocking and in the way and whatever, you got to find a way around. You got to make the right decision, and it cost him. And I feel for him. And mainly I feel for him, Andy, is because of the points. Like he's lost 7 points in 4 days. And he's got the red plate. That's great. He's got the lead. But if this thing comes down to Salt Lake City and he's in the fight at the last round, those 7 points could have been really, really useful.
Yeah. And, I think with Kenny, though, over the years, watching him and helping teams that he's been on and things like that, I don't know what it is about the stadiums, but he seems to not have the mental endurance that it takes. 1 year with RCH, we had the points lead. We go into Oakland. He's leading the Supercross, makes a little bobble before the triple and still try to go for it instead of just settling in and taking a second or a third in case the triple so hard. And I mean, I thought that year we were going to win the Supercross Championship or see Kenny win it. And but he gets outdoors, and I feel like he rides with a better racecraft, or he's just more mentally strong on the outdoors. I don't know if it's because this is so fast and you never get a break. Like there's nowhere on the track where you can actually take a breather. Where when you are racing the outdoors, you can not give your body a physical break, but you can give your mental.
You're right. You know what I think it is? An outdoor, you have time to be pretty conscious of what's going on and make decisions and think about it and evaluate. Supercross, you're going off your instincts pretty much the whole time, right? It's just subconscious. You're hoping that you make all the right decisions at every moment. You never really get a chance to really think. It's just what's coming at you every second. And yeah, to your point, I think Supercross is mentally way more difficult. Mentally, you physically not as much, even though it is still hard for these guys. But mentally, you wear yourself out for 20 minutes of playing chess on this track, right?
Well, yeah, because you got to realize we're not necessarily talking about playing chess with the other riders. This is the track. So I know personally from riding a bike that on a track where every time you make an apex, like you rotate, you make a corner, 90 degree, 180, it doesn't matter. Every time you turn, there's another obstacle there in front of you. Your brain has to react so fast to realize, oh, I'm on this lane. Oh, this is a triple double single whatever lane, and then you make that 180 again. You're like, oh man, I got to go triple, single, whatever. Like you have to do that. And while you're doing that, you have some guy right in your ear, and revving on you, and you hear the other bikes go in the other lane. You always have this imaginary ghost that the guy's right on me, the guy's right on me, the guy's right on me, when he's not, because you have so much bike noise from the other lanes. I mean, I've been out there. I get it. Like, I know what it's like.
It's intense mentally, man, just to process it all. And that's why, again, I feel for Dean. I feel for Kenny. I feel for, anyone that's in this situation, even, we'll get into Lawrence and Mosman and Hampshire and Faulkner. There's so much to process every millisecond that it's difficult. That's why these are the best in the world. That's why Ken Rocks and Cooper Webb are who they are, because they're the best in the world at processing these things in the moment. And Cooper just seems to be a little better at that, Andy, especially late when again, it's like you're playing chess and you're down to your last couple moves. He just seems to have the last couple moves always. He always knows what to do in the last 1 minute of a race.
Yeah, because I think that's what mentally he's prepared himself to do, is for that last minute of the race, because it doesn't really matter if he's running 6th or 7th or battling for the win. You can always see the last minute of the race, Cooper rides different than the rest of the guys on the track, for sure.
If I'm working with one of these top riders and they're doing their 20-minute motos, they knock out their 20s all the time, what I would do, and this sounds weird, but I think it would help, I'd have like 5 cones, and when 5 minutes are left to go, I would just go stick 5 cones in the best lines in the most random spots of the track, to where they just have to take something new the last 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Just to throw a wrench into their 20-minute, because these guys, I know when they train, they're pushing, but they get in this zone where they just start clicking. And it's never like that unless you run away with it. Like even Nichols and Craig, they were making moves, Joe, late. It was late in that main event, and they were having to make changes to their lines and decisions, and you know what I mean? Like, I would do anything that I could to disrupt these guys in their last 5 minutes of their motos at the track, just so that they are prepared when they go to the race, that the last 5 minutes are going to get goofy, because it always does. I mean, look at Osborne. Osborne's running down Tomac at round 2. Tomac had to turn it back up. He had to make a decision 5 minutes to go, and he might not get that when he's by himself at the track. But guess what? He's also a great racer late. He always has been. He knew with 5 minutes to go, turn it back up. You know what I mean? That you got to have some adjustability in those late stages of these races to be able to handle the crap that gets thrown at you. Curveballs and knuckleballs all day long, especially in the last 5 minutes. And again, dealing with lap traffic is nothing new. Dealing with a lap rider who will not get out of the way, that's nothing new. That's not the first time, like Andy said. That's not the first time we've seen that.
Yeah. Instead of getting cones, maybe if you're one of these top teams, you pick out like 3 or 4 of the guys that get lapped every week, and you
bring them to the track.
You say, "Hey, have you ever gotten to ride the Honda test track? Oh, you haven't? Why don't you come out? We don't want you to gear up until 5 minutes in,
and then you get to
just
go out there
while you're a little more fresh than he is, and just hold your line.
Hold your line, and we'll deal with whatever we have to deal with."
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. I would literally go and find 3 worthy privateers. And you just tell them, guess what? You're going to do 5-minute sprints, but you only get to do them when I'm in the last 5 minutes of my 20. Yep. And you go out there and you guys just thrash. I want you guys to go battle, and I'm just going to find a way through you in the last 5 minutes, because guess what? We're going to see that so much this year. I promise you, this will not be the last time we talk about a lapper affecting a race. It's not the last time. And it sure the hell wasn't the first. This has happened a lot. And it happened again, Andy, in the heat race with Barsha. I mean, he was going to win that heat, and he didn't.
Yeah, and people got to understand, nothing against A-Ray, but he just cost Barsha bonus money. These guys get bonuses for fastest qualifier, winning your heat races, podium, Yeah,
probably 10 grand or something. I mean, cost him 10 grand. I don't know about you. 10 grand would be pretty good right now, huh, Joe?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, and that wasn't A-Ray's fault. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Doing his thing, racing his dirt bike too.
So...
Yeah, I mean, unless there's some kind of rule. I've seen people throw out like, hey, when you get lapped, maybe you should get black flagged, or, like you're done. Because I don't know, you saw the 250 class. They lapped up to like 12th, I think 2 times or something like that. Or 15th or something.
No, this weekend they lapped. The only guy left on the lead lap was Max Folen. He was 6th.
But some guys they got twice.
But the downfall of that for the sport is every time a guy got lapped, he has to pull it into the pits. Well, by the end of the race, it looked kind of weird if there's only 6 guys on the track.
Some tracks it's going to happen, especially like 250 East. You're going to see that a lot. I actually, in the post-race press conference, asked Nichols, do you like riding in through lap traffic? Is it something that you feel you excel in? Because, buddy, you're going to be in it the rest of the year. The West isn't, or the East is not getting any better in that 250 class. You're going to be dealing with lap traffic the entire series. There will be no breaks. And he was like, well, I don't like it, but I think I'm pretty good at it. And he was. I mean, he was great in it. So, yeah, it's part of the game. And, again, I sympathize with Kenny, man. That sucks because, honestly, he had it. Joe, do you think he had it? I don't think Cooper was close enough. He wasn't going to get him straight up. I don't think there was anywhere to get him.
I completely disagree. Cooper would have got him.
Somewhere?
Somewhere.
If they didn't have the lapper, the only place he's getting them in is the drive-through after the races because
or maybe in the last corner.
Kenny had him covered.
He did have him covered.
But hey, you can't just give everybody participation awards. Yeah. So, I mean, back to Dean. I mean, a couple more spots. He was the top Husky rider for the night, right?
So, was right in front,
you know what I mean? So,
maybe right in front of him.
Yeah, Jason and Zach finished.
Right, 2 spots in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, they were right there. So, even in your own camp, you might not be the podium guy. You didn't get on the podium, but to be the top finisher for your team for the night, and you're only on a 1-year deal, that's got to give you a boost of confidence going to the next round, and so on.
And you're pleading your case, right?
Yes.
Like, I deserve to be a factory rider. I deserve to be back because look, I was able to fight, and like if he was able to get, I mean, I don't think he was going to get Brayton or Osborne, but I could tell he was still committed to trying. I mean, obviously that's why he did that. He didn't just roll around with the blue flag and look over his shoulder and block. He was still looking forward, which was what you're taught to do. And even with the blue flag, I mean, I was always taught with the blue flag, you just don't do anything drastic. You stay in your line and you just kind of stay committed. The track happens to funnel to all these insides. It happened to be the worst part of the track with these tight insides. The rest of the track, he really wasn't holding him up too much. You know what I mean? So again, I don't... He does have to be more aware, but I just fall back on the intent. It wasn't on purpose, and he was still committed to finishing his race. And it just was really bad circumstances. And again, I don't agree with the hate. That's all. I will say right now, Dean Wilson, if you're listening, I know you're not, you caused Kenny a win. You definitely did. But there was no intent. You didn't do it on purpose, and you probably didn't need to overly apologize like that. Is that fair, Joe? Is that where you're at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Andy, yep, I agree with that.
All right. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Let's talk. I don't even know yet. Let's take a little break. I have to go to the bathroom, Joe. I'm disappointed with what you did to the toilet, but I'm going to take a little break. We'll come back. We'll talk something, but I do want to thank Fly Racing, Mika Metals, Scott USA, EMT Racing, Motosport.com, and Ole Meat Creations. Thank you guys so much for being part of this show. Be right back with more.
Main Event Moto.
All-American Chevrolet in Killeen, Texas is a proud supporter of Main Event Moto and invites all the Motoheads to experience the difference for all of your Chevy sales and service needs. Mention Main Event Moto and get 50% off your next oil change and a front-end alignment at no charge. Remember, whether you're hauling your bikes to the weekend track, trail, or race, or commuting to the job that pays for your moto habit, we have the truck to get you there in style. Visit us online anytime at ChevyKilleen.com. That's All-American Chevrolet of Killeen. Chevy, find new roads.
Look good? Check. Protection? Check.
Fly Racing has had the gear game on lock for years, but the Formula helmet has taken Fly to another level. They didn't just make a high-quality helmet, they redefined the standard for the most important piece of safety equipment on a rider's body.
Use your head and protect your head. Run the Fly Formula helmet.
Then cover the rest of your body in Fly's Evolution and Kinetic gear lines.
Easy decision.
There's a reason I run DRS suspension and Race Tech hard parts with Mika Metals chains, bars, and sprockets on Evans 65. First off, DRS suspension settings work everywhere. I haven't changed a clicker since I put them on. Maybe it's the internals from Race Tech that give it that extra something.
American-made products with a 100% guarantee. You don't see that every day.
Yeah, the DRS Race Tech combo works for me. And what can I say about Mika?
First off, they've been with us since the beginning.
The quality of their bars is top of the line, and Mika is the only chain and sprocket combo I run. Motoheads, get with the program. It's DRS suspension, Race Tech, Mika Metals.
Say it again.
It's DRS suspension, Race Tech, Mika Metals. Is that good, Joe?
Yeah.
Main Event Moto Podcast.
Ooh-wee. Huge thank you to Race Tech and DRS suspension, Guts Racing, the company that Andrew Gregg.
Yeah.
You're not in trouble, Andy. I'm just playing. Guts Racing, No Toil, Blends All American Chevy of Killeen, and ScreenPrintingDone.com. Thank you guys so much. Andy, quick update on Guts Racing. How's everything going over there? Are you guys cranking it or what?
Yep, we're super busy this year. It's great. Gosh, man, it's been a whirlwind, because of everything going on. Then we added like a second building just to help with more inventory so we could
buy the first one?
Yeah.
Which building? Where?
We're across the street, so we have two shops now. And so one's just solely for manufacturing, and then the other side is just for inventorying and shipping. We just wanted to make sure that we could still expedite our orders as fast as possible. I mean, that's one thing I take a lot of pride in, is making sure, every order ships within a reasonable amount of time. I mean, I put high expectations on the girls. I want those things shipped out within 24 hours when they placed the order. But 36 is pretty standard for everything we do. And then every now and then you have those hiccups where somebody ordered something obscure or
random.
Something really random, and it does take a little longer. And I hate to blame COVID for things, but right now we're having a hard time with supply chain issues with the complete seat pans that we get from Austria. We get them right from KTM. So I feel bad for all the customers out there that are listening that have seats that have been on back order for a few months, and they understand it's not us, because we're waiting on Austria to ship us seat pans. And what had happened
what are you supposed to do, right?
Yeah, because other countries have different shutdowns or whatever, and so their ports were closed at a different time than ours, and so they couldn't ship. And then when they could ship, our ports were closed, and so it was just, that's the only little hiccup we have right now. But other than that, we're rocking and rolling, and the girls are loving it. So
nice. So has things stabilized after? I mean, I know the rush was insane, because I remember, a few months back you were like, bro, I can't even keep up. But is it stabilized? I know his business is still good, but is it consistent now?
Yeah, no, it's definitely gotten a lot more consistent. And I think the volume is it's still creeping up, but it's not as crazy as it was, or it doesn't seem as so overwhelming by adding the second building. And we brought in a new girl to help, McKenna. She's been a huge asset to Taylor and Sierra. So now we got 3 girls in the office putting in solid work on the, packaging and fulfilling orders. So with that being said, I mean, we can handle larger volume, and it doesn't seem so overwhelming.
Nice, because you have the space and you're able to kind of pre-build. I mean, like you said, it's just a nice little spurt of growth and actually stabilize things instead of made it worse.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, let's talk 250. You can go to gutsracing.com and use the code MainEventMoto for 21. Are we still 21%
Yeah,
off?
21, bud.
Okay, 21%.
I still got you above that janky show from Vegas.
Yeah, that crap show. Actually, I went on that show, Joe, when I was out there in Houston, and the guy that owned NFAB, he sold it. It was at his house. Dude, oh my God. I don't even know what the vehicles all were in there, because I'm not like a car guy, but I know they were all expensive, and there was a lot of them. And the whole shop,
was that the Garage Mahal?
Dude, it was insane. I've never even been in something like that before. I felt like I didn't belong because I didn't have a tux on. Like I felt like I needed to wear a suit just to go on pulp to go to this guy's garage. It was so insane, but yeah, it was pretty cool. The guy was super nice. I mean, I've met him before and talked to him. He's a really nice guy, the guy from NFAB. And so it was fun to go there and kind of split the week up a little bit, But I got to say, it was pretty intense. As far as being there for a week, you would think I'm just sitting around lounging. Man, with Eagle Grit and some of the things that's going on there, some of the changes, and then just the responsibilities, it was a busy week. Like, it flew by. I don't feel like I ever lagged. And I feel like I'm really going to sleep well tonight, just get in my own bed and rest and kind of recharge, because it was a brutal trip. And a lot of work, a lot of talking. More talking now. Need to shut up for a few days and reset, because I'm tired. Let's get into the 250s. Joe, what's your thoughts first off? Let's start with Jet Lawrence, because we didn't get a chance to talk after Tuesday's show. This one wasn't as good. Obviously, he had the big crash in practice. I think it took him down quite a bit. He wasn't the same after. He really never rode with the same fire. But man, Tuesday night, I mean, the hype's real, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what'd you think watching that night in particular?
That was great. And as far as last night goes, I mean, to be off your game and still get third, like, obviously, the dude's the full package.
Yeah, he's got it. And again, the top 2 were gone. They got out front, 1, 2, and are fine. And Jet had to work through the pack. And of course, he's not working through as many guys, because you lost RJ and you lost Faulkner. Oh, man. And I'm bummed for both of them. RJ had a rough start, Andy. The first 3 were all just stuff. And I mean, I feel for that guy because, again, you come in the season ready and then you just get hit, boom, 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 and now you're out. It's just a bummer for him on a personal level.
Yeah, and RJ, he has the speed. I mean, that's not, up for question or debate. It's just this weird things. I mean, if it's another rider and him getting together or just little hiccups here or there, but over the years, he's always had the potential to be, I think, in the top 3, of conversations, and just sucks when these guys are out, even Faulkner, and it just, the way the 450s are going, you just kind of wish that the 250s in the same night were as equally as good, right?
Right.
But
which was still a great battle between the top 2. It was fun to watch, but I know what you're saying, this 450 chaos, the 250 class was kind of starting out that way. I felt like we were getting a little bit of that, and it just kind of fell apart there. And now I honestly don't know if I'll see a podium outside of Craig, Nichols, and Lawrence.
Yeah.
Do you? Do you see?
No, I don't.
I don't.
At all.
I mean, Mosman, even Jet on an off night was able to catch up and get Mosman. So I don't. Joe, do you see anyone? I don't see a different podium than those 3. Maybe until we get to the last 2, if someone's back or whatever. But for the next 4 or 5 races, whatever, I don't see any changes.
No, these 3 got it.
And then who's gonna get it? Who's
Mosman? I mean, Mosman. I think.
Oh, he could.
I think he could get a. I mean, it would just have to be
a little bit of help.
A little bit of help. One of those guys getting a bad start or breaking a shifter or something, right? You know what I mean? So, and nothing against Mosman or his ability. He just needs a 10th.
Yeah, he's close. He's just
close.
1 tick off that top group. And riding, I think he's riding well. He's just, like you said, he's 1 tick off. I mean, I know it's early. A lot of things are going to still change, probably, Joe, but just where we sit right now, you got Nichols and Craig tied and Lawrence, 6 points back? Who are you feeling for this thing now?
Honestly, I think this is Jets to lose. I'm sorry to be on the train, but
so you think
I know you guys are probably Craig all the way, but yeah, I think Jets the way.
I kind of feel Nichols, man. I mean, I feel all 3. Like I'm not any one of them, and I get it.
I know it's a bit of a bandwagon thing with Jet right now, but I think he could do it. He just seems motivated, and he seems like the guy having the most fun.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder when that's going to change. You think it's going to change? You think he grows up? Because again, he is a kid. Jacob Hayes, he hangs with him there a little bit. He hangs with Myrtle and them, and he's like, man, it's crazy. You watch him ride, and then you talk to him, and he's still a kid. It's not an act. He really is just a young kid having fun.
Big dog got to eat.
Big dog eating Hot Pockets. I mean, he's just that's who he is. And I'm just wondering, like, is he the same in 2 years or 3 years when he becomes turns from boy to man? Is he still going to be the same guy, or is
no? It'll change. His outlook will change.
Does he get better? Does he somehow get better? Does he get worse if he gets serious? Like, he's just everything's so cool right now with him. But what happens to him in a couple of years when he's 20 and 21 and 23? Like, what is he going to be like? It's kind of hard to predict,
Yeah, I would rather not try to predict. I'd like to just talk. I mean, now I think he's the next guy. I like with Joe. I'm not necessarily saying that it's his to lose right now. I think I could go through all 3 of those riders and have a valid excuse of why I would like to have any one of them win the championship, Craig, because I feel like he's still one of the last journeymen out there. Like he took time off, went and worked, like was going to step away. I mean, there's so much stuff. He's got a cool family. They got good stuff going at home. So it'd be super awesome to see him win it. Then Cole Nichols over the years, broken femur, just accident, this, that. You feel for him, like, man, it's finally his time. He's paid his dues. He's had all the injuries. And then you always want to be like, oh, the new up and comer,
right.
Jet, that's awesome. He's out there riding with a lot of heart, a lot of speed, just letting it, going for the gusto. So I think all 3 of them have valid,
like reasons
stories.
To root for.
Yeah. So for me, I just want to be a fan and watch all 3 of them race for the championship, and whoever gets it, I'm going to be equally as stoked for all 3 of them. I just don't want either of them to get hurt, or the 3 of them to get hurt, because it'll just make it worse. I mean, that's why they're lapping to 6th, because they're missing 4 dudes.
Yeah,
right?
Lopes is out. Remember, Pettis was at the first one. He's out. Hampshire, Faulkner. Is there anyone else we lose?
I'm sure we're probably missing somebody in there, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, you don't want to see either of these. You want to see these 3 guys battle it till the end.
Yeah, we can't lose another one. We can't lose one of those 3, Joe. It would kill the series. It would kill that class. You know what I mean? And to Andy's point, I feel like I could be stoked for all of them. Like, if Jet wins this year, it's huge for the sport, I believe. Because let me tell you something about Jet. after he won on Tuesday night, there were people waiting for him at the hotel. Somehow these kids found out where his hotel were. There was like 30 kids, I guess, at the hotel going up and down the elevators, like looking and wondering where Jet Lawrence was. I mean, that's real. Okay, this kid does have major appeal outside of this sport. Like if we're wanting the sport to grow, him winning the championship would be huge because the timing would be right. I mean, everyone's on him right now. He's fun. He's goofy. If he wins, I think that moves the needle. I really do, because he's like a Pastrana or a Stewart. When they're that young and talented, people just grab a hold of that. You know what I mean? And he's got this fan base building that other people. I mean, Christian Craig is not going to have kids waiting for him in the elevator at his hotel.
No, he just has dad's waiting for him. Yeah, hoping to meet Paige as she walks by.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Christian, good job on your win tonight.
Or
hey,
have
Paige.
Or have their kid hang out with his kid.
Yeah.
But then there's Christian, who, again, I feel like I want him to do it too, because to your point, he's at the end of this 250 thing. He wants to move on. I feel like he's putting in the work and he deserves it. He's been through so much, so I would feel great about him getting it. And then Cole, I love the dude. He's a good dude. He's talented. I think he's a good 450 rider. He's already done it in some off-season races. So I kind of feel like I'd love to see him get it done too, after everything he's been through, injury after injury. So Joe, I'd be stoked with any, but I kind of lean Colt. I kind of think Colt's going to get this thing. That's just, I know he's just the one, so I'm maybe just reacting to the win.
So you're changing because you called it for Craig.
Did I?
Remember back?
Oh, yeah,
I did. In August.
Yeah, but I throw a lot of things out there.
Right.
So, like, I got to be honest. Like, I did call Christian Craig for the title back in August. But to be fair, I throw a lot. I mean, just because you throw 100 things at the wall and one sticks, you can't get that cocky. I mean, I'll be a little cocky about it, but you know what I mean? Don't give me... Even actually, you know what, though? I've been on it this year. So on Race Day Live, I predicted Barr should have won the first round. And then I did it on live TV, nailed it. And then last night on Race Day Live, I predicted Cooper to win. So I'm kind of figuring this out, Joe. I might actually be Nostra Daniel here pretty soon. Like at one point I was on fire, like 3 years ago. And then I got cocky and just started throwing the dumbest stuff around. But I do feel like Craig's got a legit shot. And when I said it, I meant it. And now he's showing that he really does have a shot at it. But you got Jet. That's your feeling right now. You got Jet.
Yeah.
Andy, if you had to pick, who do you feel?
Who do I feel?
Not who do you want, but who do you think? After what you've seen now, and knowing we got 3 guys left after 3 rounds.
If I think Colt might actually be the guy that's going to get it.
He's just getting better, getting stronger. The tracks are about to get really ruddy when we go to Indy. I think he's going to be really good there. I don't know if I trust Jet yet, because he's still a kid. He's done 9 races, so there's just so much to learn. I don't know if I trust him yet. But then to your point, Joe, man, if he just gets out front, which he normally does, he could just check out. He's got a little extra than these guys have in the skill department. Christian has it too, but Jet does some weird stuff on the bike, right? That's just, I don't know if it's that he's not too young, but that he's young, so that's why it's impressive, or is he really just doing things that are impressive anyway? I haven't figured that out yet, but I got Nichols. I'll say Nichols gets it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be good though. So we got to watch it all the way to the end, all the way to Salt Lake. Who's going to be there?
What happens with Faulkner?
Oh,
I have a prediction.
Man, I don't know. How bad is it? How long is he out?
I think collarbone, surgery.
Surgery.
I think plating it. So he's out. So this is a wash. He's done. So what happens next? What happens?
I think he goes to Star Yamaha and wins everything.
Don't say that. That's what I said when I walked in the door. Don't steal my shit, dude. What are you talking about? Yeah, book it. Faulkner's going to Star. It's a done deal. I'm sure the offer letter is already in the outbox, man. Andy, right?
Gosh,
I mean,
man.
You think Mitch is just gonna? I mean, I think Mitch is probably frustrated. He's probably over it. Faulkner, Star Yamaha, man. If they see something, they scoop it up. And what do you get to not see something in Faulkner? I say Star picks him up next year and he wins the title next year.
Do you know for a fact, is this his last contract year?
I think he's in his last year of his contract, because he even said he wants to go 450 next year. And no. Don't do that. He doesn't have this class and this bike figured. I mean, he's still doing things, man. Like he's not. I don't think he's ready for a 450 just yet. Talent wise, yeah, but just there's too many other things we just talked about. You got to be ready for a lot of variables, and he's not really handling all the variables correctly.
Will he be ready in time for outdoors this year?
Yeah. So I mean, he'll be probably back for Salt Lake. The last two.
Wow, jeez.
I would guess he's back. I mean, that's 3 months from now, and he won't make it by Orlando. And then I think, is that it until Salt Lake? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So like 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now, these guys will be done until Salt Lake. So yeah, I see Faulkner coming back at Salt Lake and then being fine for the outdoors unless something happens or it gets prolonged. But 2022, Joe. You think I'm on? You think I'm right? Oh. I think I'm right. He's going to start.
I mean, yeah, he probably would, but I don't see any.
Will Hahn's listening right now, and he's actually typing the contract out right now as we speak. As he's listening, he's like, "Oh man, they got a camera in here or something." Andy,
I think if I was the team, I wouldn't even bring him back for Salt Lake. I would just focus on the outdoors, try to win that championship, and then just let the cards fall for next year. And I would be surprised if he doesn't end up on a different team for next year.
I'm just thinking of where though, like where. I mean, or maybe KTM decides to go with 2. Or I don't see him being back. That's all. I'm just saying I don't see him back.
Do you think that would be his? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna
both mutual, in my opinion.
Speaking of these guys though, and separating of the East and West and stuff like that, maybe you can answer this question for everybody, Daniel, or maybe you already have on a different show and I didn't hear it, but I noticed that this year, no other East-West shootouts other than the one in Salt Lake. This would have been the easiest year to have multiple because you're kind of in the East.
You're kind of in the center a lot.
Yeah, you're kind of.
Well, you heard about all the scheduling issues just remember it switched. And I mean, with the venues moving, with Glendale going away and Atlanta coming in, that threw a whole wrench into everything because of the location. So they had to kind of do some stuff to make it work and make the numbers work. I don't know how that decision gets made. I don't know how they weigh it out, but I know what you're saying, but I think they were having a hard time just making it work anyway, let alone maybe having more riders in the venue. Maybe they didn't want as many riders at these venues, because if you're doing East and West, you're going to have, 70 to 80, 250. So maybe it's something like that where they didn't really want to overload a venue except for, hey, the last one, we got to do it. We have to do at least one, because I feel like getting rid of the Triple Crowns is a bummer to me, but I understand with the schedule. Getting rid of all East-West showdowns would have been horrible to me. It's one of my favorite races of the entire year is when they get together, right? I mean, there's a lot of extra fun when the East and West get together, so it'd be horrible to miss that.
Well, yeah, I kind of started looking forward to those ones in the middle of the season because it could kind of shake up the points, especially if a guy has a little bit of a point gap, and then all of a sudden you put the two coasts together, and then that point gap gets evaporated a little bit,
right?
But at the same time, it could also help a guy increase his point lead too. But it just is neat to see the guys stack up against each other before they get to Salt Lake. Because then when they get to Salt Lake, even if the championships are wrapped up, maybe there's some, ego stuff that we ought to square up from the previous East-West shootout earlier in the year. So right. I don't know. I just kind of think it helps. Right there's a lapper.
Yeah, how about Mosman got taken out by a lapper?
Yeah, so, that cost him a good finish there. So.
Yeah, and it's going to happen in heats. It's going to happen in mains. It's going to happen early. It's going to happen late. It's part of it. I don't want to just keep kicking a dead horse here, but you're right. It's part of it. The East-West showdown for me too, Joe. I like it because the two coasts get to flex a little and find out who's the best. I love that part of it. Because you're watching these guys and you're like, man, Nichols and Craig and Lawrence. There's no way that Justin Cooper and J Mart and Jordan Smith can beat them. And then all of a sudden you go to the showdown and like a Jordan Smith will just wax everybody. Something like that happens all the time. So I like getting them together because you get to kind of answer the question of who really is the better coast. And I think it's safe to say that the East is pretty weak outside of, it was maybe 7 or 8. Now it's down to 5 or 6. So it's no question if you're a privateer and you're wanting to get in main events, like you should have chose East. You got some good shots at it. I think the West is going to be pretty deep, like through 15 probably, just because there's Club MX. There's just more teams. And I think Kyle Peters, he'll probably be over there, and his team, Phoenix Honda. You know what I mean? I think the West is going to be deeper through the field, but I don't know if it's as top heavy, if that makes sense.
It's kind of funny. It's almost like the West for 2021 would look more like a normal East, right?
Exactly.
And
starts later.
Yeah.
A little bit of the star power ends up on the first coast. I think that's why Lawrence, obviously Hunter needed more time, but they wanted him to come right out of the gate. I know that was part of the decision is we're not waiting until Orlando 2 to debut our phenom, our Red Bull, Alpine Star, Honda. They wanted him right at round 1. So it's just like a regular West, Anaheim. You want to bring those guys out at the first one if you can. Faulkner 2.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to call it West Coast, and we're going to call them East Coast, but I think when the West starts, like a lot of the teams you mentioned, they would never be under the West Coast banner to begin with. Club MX. I mean, there'd be no reason for those guys to be under a traditional West Coast banner. So it's going to have more of a feel, I think, of an traditional East Coast series.
Which is the name.
Yep, where it's going to have a deeper field, but not maybe as the raw speed's not going to be there. Like where the current East Coast that we're watching, I think, is where all the raw speed is, but it isn't quite as deep.
Right. And then you never know. Maybe J-Mart comes out and just is insane and is faster than Christian and Colt and Jet. You never know. That's why we do need the showdown. There's no question. We got to have at least one, and I'm glad they do have it. Joe, anything else on 250s before we go to uppers and downers? We should probably mention Max Folen. Andy, I don't know about you. I'm so proud of him. I'm so happy. Joe, for 6 months was hinting how terrified I was of just the plan with him. I mean, he was in the schoolboy class at Loretta 6 months ago on a 125. Had never even ridden a 250.
Crazy.
Ever. And I was like, what are you doing with him? And I feel bad. I didn't give him the credit that I maybe should have. To me, the math added up that it was going to be rougher than this. And he is far exceeding my expectations. And I've never been happier to be wrong, Andy.
Yeah. I mean, every race so far, there's been somebody at my house or hanging out or whatever, or family member, and I'm like, kids from Sacramento, watch him. Kids from I'm just beaming.
The kid raced Sac Raceway probably 3 times last summer. Before Loretta's, he's out there probably on his Super Mini riding the expert class or the open class,
Yeah, so super pumped for him, super pumped for his dad. So, yeah, no, I'm stoked. I think last night he had a shifter issue with his bike.
Is that what happened in the main?
I think I read that somewhere because he was right there, and then all of a sudden he lost a couple spots.
Yeah, 3 spots.
And they never showed a replay on TV or explained it. And I think I read somewhere that it was a shifter. I'm probably wrong. I was 16 Coors Lights deep by the time
there's your problem.
Read that. Yeah, so, but
maybe
either way.
Maybe drink a beer that you only need 3 or 4, right, Joe? Oh, Joe. So this weekend I went out to dinner a couple times, and I'm looking at the menu of beers, and I wasn't feeling like a Coors Light, I just wasn't, whatever. But Stella was on the menu, and I know you like Stella.
Yeah, Stella's
so
right.
I was like, all right, let me have those. And for 2 nights, I had Stellas, and I like them. That was my first go of them. I've never had them before, and I actually like them. I thought of you.
Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I hate them. Sometimes they're okay.
Well, you hate them when you have too many, which happens
a
lot too. Yeah, pretty much every time. Yeah. Last thing on Max, the one thing that stands out to me, first lap racecraft. He is so good in the first couple corners. You ever notice that no matter what, he puts himself like in the top 3, makes good decisions early. And that's a telling sign of someone who really understands it. It's one thing to ride a Supercross track and do all the obstacles, but to be this young, this new, and come out and have that kind of racecraft on the first lap tells me he really understands what he's doing. And that's a good sign for the future, more than raw speed even. Raw speed is great, but when you are being able to navigate the opening laps with a high IQ, it tells me you are good to go for the future, right?
Yep.
All those Sac Raceway laps, that's what you do.
I mean, he's definitely got the right people in his corner. I mean, I'm sure his dad has got a lot of insight for him. And then, just being around the rest of the factory KTM guys, I think that's probably where a lot of his racecraft's coming from. I think that he had it before.
Like naturally,
Naturally, but he's being refined by some of the best in the industry, and he's proving that he's a good listener and that he's applying what he's been taught.
And I like that he doesn't override. If he like Oldenburg on Tuesday night, gave him a little bit, he just took it and just kept going. You know what I mean? Like didn't freak out over. He doesn't get really caught up in anything. He just does his thing so quietly, so solid, and he's just stacking points. And again, he's going to end up probably 5th or 6th in points. And to me, the result sheet does matter. I mean, it does, but it's the way it looks. And I mean, look at the leap that Joe Shimoda has made from year 1 to 2. Joe,
yeah.
I mean, better, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's actually in the conversation.
Yeah, and where last year as a rookie, Joe was not he did not look great. Max looks better than Joe looked last year. So if he follows the same trend and has a big leap in year 2, dude, I mean, he's way in the top 5, probably chasing podiums and winning heat. I mean, he almost won a heat race last night. So just don't change the plan. That's all I'm saying. I just hope that they don't adjust. Just stay on track. Just put the laps down and learn, because the kid is obviously a very good learner. And then get ready for year 2 and then go for more. I'm heavily emotionally invested in him doing well, and I'm so happy it's going this way. Joe, it's time for uppers and downers.
Uppers and downers. Uppers and downers brought to you by EMT Racing.
Huge thank you to EMT Racing. If you see them at the local track or at the Amateur Nationals, make sure you go over and buy some stuff. They kill it, Joe. They got the retail game on lock, and they're the official authorized Dunlop dealer for the Amateur Nationals. So if you need a Dunlop, head over to EMT Racing, and you'll see all the guys lined up just cranking out tire changes. They're at the AZ Open, and then, of course, when there's no Amateur National, Andy, they're always around here. They're at the Triple Crown or that Zeb's races at REP, or at the Oatfield. They're always around, and they're killing it. Every time I go over there, all their guys are just on it. So huge shout out to EMT Racing. Uppers and downers. Joe, you want to go first?
I'll go first. So this upper's kind of weird because we forgot all about this dude in our previous show, but I know he's not getting points, but Plessinger actually had a decent ride last night.
He did. He looked a lot better, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could actually see him, like on TV, doing his thing.
It's funny that you say that because
we completely ignored him. We just were.
Well, it's funny because we forgot Brayton. We forgot Brayton too. We never talked about Brayton, and then he goes out and gets a podium.
Killer night.
But yeah, Aaron looks good, Andy. It's no question. He needed this change, which again, it's not a bike change, but it's a team change. And what he told me, Joe, you'll laugh at this. He says he's the worst test rider. He's like, "Oh, I'm a horrible test rider." He admits it, which Aaron's like that. He'll just say whatever the truth is. He doesn't hide anything. And he says he's a horrible test rider. Well, he goes back to Star Yamaha. They know him. He's won titles for them. They understand him. They might understand his language better. And now he's on the same bike, yet the bike obviously looks better for him. And Joe, to your point, he's up there fighting and shredding and battling, like in the heat race. He's had multiple times now where he's been up front and looks like a legit dude. And honestly, he's still, it's a tough class. He's having some issues.
Yeah.
But in your opinion, just watching him, it looks different, right?
It was just nice to see him battling, and he looked way better than the last two rounds. And so for a guy that we completely forgot about and ignored to be doing nice, I thought that deserved an upper.
And he's our boy. He's our early boy back in the early days.
One of the oldest of OGs.
Back in the episode 1 through 10 days.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise. 185 ago, man. Oh my gosh.
The forgotten episodes. Can't even get
what about
those.
It's probably a good thing. Downer for you.
My Dylon is my downer.
I just back it up.
I expected more so far, and
Well, okay, so the second was great. Obviously, he rode great, but things happen around and whatever. But were you expecting?
Last night specifically, I was expecting more for sure.
To keep at least on the trend. Yeah. Maybe don't get on the podium again, but at least show the same stuff.
Top 5 at least.
Right. What do you think about him, Andy? Surprising at round 2, but then surprising at round 3 too. He was non-factor all day. I don't remember seeing him ever, really.
Yeah, he's going to be one of my contributing factors to winning the trophy this year.
We'll get into pick 'em. Yeah, you suck.
Yeah, I do.
What is wrong with you?
But I thought for sure he got second. Just the emotion on the podium. I'm like, oh yeah, he's backing it up. And golly,
I thought the same. I chose him in our pick 'em too.
You did.
Top 5, but couldn't do it. So he's my.
By the way, just so y'all know, a couple angry DMs because we didn't do a show after round 2 Tuesday. Our fantasy pick'ems are going to have to not count because everyone's playing along. We have a lot of people playing along with us, so we can't get a round ahead of them. So fortunately for all of us who sucked on our personal picks, we're just going to toss those ones. And for Eric, Nye, and Vincent, sorry, they went 3-0, but none of the Motoheads know, so they can't play along, and a lot of people are playing along. So we're going to do one today.
Even if we post them on...
Yeah, but we never did. Yeah. Dan was supposed to.
Toolman.
Is that his first... Is that his first?
I believe that's his first strike.
First strike.
Buddy.
Oh, we told him to do it, and he didn't do it.
Get the write up. We got to write him up.
2 to go, Dan.
Do you ever have to write up the chicks at Guts, Greg?
Take him to HR.
Yeah.
Or are you HR?
Whew, my seat's getting a little hot.
Girls, I'm gonna need a seat in my office. I'm gonna have a little HR talk. So yeah, we'll get to that, Andy. But Ferrandis, a little off on this one. Great on Tuesday, but. I mean, non-factor. I didn't even see him. I don't remember seeing him one time on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't think they showed him on TV.
I think they had a 2-box at one point, and they were showing him in the heat race, maybe when he was coming to maybe 7, 8, 9. I don't remember. I do remember seeing him on a 2-box sometime, but I mean, nothing relevant. You know what I mean? What about you? Uppers and downers. What you got?
I'll go with my downer first. A little bit of the track, really. Even though last night was better, I think if I remember correctly, just from over the years, Houston has one of the biggest floors, and I feel like they didn't take full advantage of their floor space. Even though, I don't know. Like it's really not. You don't have the normal amount of fans. Like there's a lot of things where I felt like they should be less distracted building a track, and the track should have been. All three of the tracks, I think, could have used the floor space better. So that's my downer.
To your point, though, Houston, they've done it in the past where that middle section on the far end, they go deep in. Remember a couple years ago, they'd go way back in there and then come out, and they didn't use that. And I don't know why. I'm assuming it's something with the stadium, probably. I don't know. But yeah, they didn't use the whole floor like they have in the past. Usually that middle section kind of goes deep, gives you a longer lane in the middle. And I do see your point. I thought it ended up being okay because there's so many good riders that things are going to happen. But I understand your point. The track didn't help that happen more. Maybe the dirt going away helped it, but I know what you're saying. The track itself didn't really lend to anything great racing-wise, especially in the heat races when everything was really fast. Not much was going down. Yeah,
so that's kind of my downer so far. I really can't pick out just one particular thing. The rider injuries, that's a downer, but not one rider. I think everybody is riding great considering how 2020 went. 21 still not considered, in my book, a normal. So I'm kind of giving all the riders the benefit of the doubt about my uppers and downers. So the downer would be the track, and then my upper is just the fact that we really don't have one dominant rider yet, right? You know, we haven't had a repeat winner in the 450 class yet. And in the 250 class, no repeat winner. So the racing is my upper right now. Just the fact that you can't just be like, oh, well, this guy's going to win again.
I'll miss this Saturday. I'll go hang out and do something else because, Eli's going to probably win. Like, who is missing? If you're a fan of the sport, you are not missing it because, again, there's too many unknowns, and it's great, right? Just to have this kind of depth. I mean, who's going to win? Who's going to win on Indy?
Exactly. So that's my upper because it's awesome to see, the diversity with who's winning, who's running up front in both classes. And like I said, I'm giving all the riders the benefit of the doubt because their whole training this offseason was different than a normal quote unquote season because maybe you have one team that's a little more hypersensitive that's going on in the world, and then you have another team that's a little more reckless. So like where's your team at, and what is your team letting you do? What is your team not letting you do? Like, right. I think that's kind of what's hurting the Rockstar team. This is their first time without Bobby Hewitt, and then you have all these other unknowns, and like, man, I feel like they have speed, but they just can't put it together.
Are you, both of you, this is going to be a hard one to ask and a hard one to answer probably, but y'all concerned with El Hombre? I mean, he has been a non-factor at all through 3 races. Is this because of issues, or is this it now? Like, Joe, I know you're not going to want to answer this, but be straight. I mean, be honest with me if you can. You got to be concerned a little. I mean, I am.
No, I'm not. I mean, I'm not concerned because he wasn't, my pick or anything like that. I think this is where he resides. This is his sweet spot now. I think.
Andy?
Yeah, I think his contract, was he 2 more years maybe?
I thought this was the last year.
Oh, the last.
I'm hearing these rumors too about Bobby Hewitt starting a team again and Jason going there. And I mean, I'm hearing those things, and it's early, so of course you hear it and people go, no, what are you talking about? But we heard the same thing with Star Yamaha taking over the 450 program 6 months before it happened. So kind of hearing that, and I'm wondering if Jason's just like riding this thing out and then wants to go get back with Bobby. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's true. It might be unfair to say, but I'm hearing that.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. I thought maybe he had a little bit more time. I guess Zach's the one that signed the most recent contract extension with them. So maybe it is his last year with those guys. But I just feel like some of the magic is missing from 18, right? So, and I'm not close enough in the inner circle to know what that is. But you're
just seeing it and going, something's got to be. There's not a problem, but something's different that is, like Joe said, he's reciting in a whole new place. You know what I mean? Reside. Did I say it right? You gave me a weird look.
I know weird look, but
did I lisp or something?
No, you're
Sometimes
fine. You said reciting, yeah, but reside, yeah.
So I did say it wrong.
I wasn't going to correct you though.
But the look was from.
I didn't want to be rude.
But the look was from that.
Probably.
All right, reside.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm getting at. Is just that, everybody's routine is different. So
you kind of just, again, the whole thing's a little loose as far as normalities. I mean, whatever happens is like, wow. You know what I mean? And I'm with you, and I like it that way. Quick question before I get to my uppers and downers, though. Joe, do you think this is just theory, do you think it's better for the sport when you have 7, 8, or 9 guys that can do it? Or is it better when you have a standalone star? Because McGrath took this thing places, Stewart took this thing places, and of course he was dealing with Chad and Ricky, but I kind of wonder what is better for the sport. Is it better to have this many good guys? Is that confusing for fans? Is it better when there's 3 guys that are just the best and it's always them and the rivalries can really form? Because I don't even know who the rivals are anymore. Like, Webb was throwing a little shade at Barsha in the press conference. I'm like, oh, they don't like each other? And then Barsha and Kenny are all hugging and like, oh, they're cool. Like, it's so confusing right now because I think there's so many good guys that no one can really like zero in on a rival. You know what I mean? Where when there's 3 good guys, say it's just Kenny, Coop, and Eli, every single race, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I know that's not as fun for us as fans, but I wonder if that's better for the sport when you can really zero in on 2 or 3 stars instead of try to create 8 to 10 stars. You know what I mean? What do you think? In theory, I'm just throwing it out there. Just a thought I've had. The
size of this sport, I think that it's better for exposure if you have that Stewart guy that the general public can latch onto, and everybody knows that name, so they can kind of drop it.
So you need a guy to break out.
Jet's going to be that guy. Not to go back to that, but
or like Kenny was about to be.
To your point, yeah, or Kenny was going to be, but it's Jets now. But for the fans of the sport, the real fans,
it's better like this.
It's better like this.
For sure, right? And does that make sense? I feel that's spot on.
Well, I think there's a positive for it being like this, even to the newcomer fan, because now things are different. Things are different. You got to remember when Jeremy was elevating the sport, and even Stewart and Carmichael, there wasn't this. There wasn't Main Event Moto. There wasn't 40 other podcasts, right? So if we think about it, go back then, and every week we had to be like, so what do you guys think about Jeremy's ride tonight? And we had to talk about that every week. Mm-hmm. There would be nothing to talk about.
Right. If we were doing Main Event Moto during those days, it would not really be that cool.
No, because
wow, Jeremy just won his 50th in a row. Woo! Like you know what I mean? There would be no juice. There'd be less of this drama too, because it was just him dominating.
Well, yeah, and the only thing we could talk about would be stuff that's off the track related, because we all know the guys in the 90s partied. So we would be like, okay, McGrath won. Okay, now let's talk about the after
you know what
party.
I heard, though? You know what I heard from the after party?
Yeah, so-and-so was with so-and-so's wife, and then so-and-so's little sister was with so-and-so, and it was awesome.
Yeah, that's all we would talk about, because it wouldn't be about the racing. But it's just a theory that I was kind of playing with in my head. I'm just wondering like how this sport can transcend out of its own bubble. I think the sport's stuck in its own bubble a little bit. And I'm just wondering if that's it. If you need a superstar, a standalone, or maybe 2 that rivals, like even Faulkner. Look how fired up we were over Faulkner and Jet. Like that was fun. Nothing happened. It was like the biggest letdown of all time, Joe. I think Austin passed him twice, and that was all that happened. And then Austin's getting it with other people, and now Jet's taking out other people. You know what I mean? But to have 2 or 3 that are just the go-tos, as long as their personality's right, like Stu or Travis or Jeremy, or Ricky, that can move outside of the industry and into other lanes. Where right now, I don't really see anyone that really has the ability to just go and wax everybody and back it up with the personality, other than this young kid that we all kind of hope will do it.
Right.
And then you're hoping, of course, that he takes us somewhere, but then some other people come in and mess with him. You know what I mean? We don't want him to just go and win everything. We want him to move us into the public space, and then have people mess with him and have rivals. That's what we want,
Well, back then, too, you got those guys that we all bring up that really elevated the sport. They were the kind of guys that could get bad starts and still win a main event. That's the hardest part right now, why we can't seem to find that standalone guy, because no one's really getting a bad start anymore and then just motoing through the field. And
exactly.
So, I mean, that's going to be the hardest part, is everybody... their bikes are too fast. The tracks are too, I wouldn't say easy, but
they're all figuring them out too easy. The sport has advanced itself to where they're all just too good. The bikes are incredible. No matter what they build, they all figure it out, and they're all the same speed. And Eli Tomac, the defending champ, rode around last night in 5th. There's no way that would have happened with Jeremy or Ricky or Stu or even RV or Dun. You know what I mean? It's like we had stars that would always get it done, and they would always be there. And now you have Eli going 14-1-5, and it's like 2 nights you didn't see him, and then one night, you know what I mean? It's hard to really become a star if you can't just go and dominate. And then even when Eli was dominating, he didn't really have that personality that moves people. He's very reserved into himself. So if Eli had Cincerello's personality for the last 4 years, we might have had some traction there. You know what I mean? Yeah. His personality would be great if he was dominating because it would all mix. You got to have both, in my opinion. And we don't really have anyone that has it all right now. Even Cooper. Cooper's great. He's a great warrior, but he's not like your most outgoing, that guy's not going to move the needle outside of the sport. He's just not. He's not got that style. Kenny was on his way to doing it, and Jet now would be, I think, the next one that we have a shot at maybe seeing. That's just a good conversation. I like that. Love that stuff. My uppers and downers. I'll start with my upper. So there's a kid, NorCal kid, Aiden Steinbrecher. Super fast. One of the fastest 50 riders in the country. He's a NorCal kid. I've coached him a couple times. Just the nicest little kid. Joe, he's super smiley. He's always happy, smiley, but he's kind of shy. He takes a little bit to get him to speak up. And when I had him on Race Day Live, he was there because he was part of Team Dunlop Elite. But at the same time, he was racing KTM Junior. So I get him on the show, and I'm pumped because it's like, I know this little guy, and I know his parents. I'm friends with him. And I'm going to try to get him to talk. I wanted to get him to, give me some full answers. And, of course, it starts with just, yes, thank you. Like he's just not, I'm poking. And I'm trying to get him to go somewhere, but he's just not like that. He's very shy. And finally, I'm like, hey, I've seen you ripping around all the NorCal track. What's your favorite track around here? Is it Riverfront, Argyle, whatever? And he goes, Riverfront? And I said, okay, cool. Why Riverfront? And he goes, because it's got big jumps and I can pull fatties. And I froze. I froze on Race Day Live. And I just said, that's the greatest line I've ever heard on this show. I didn't even know what to say. Dan Hubbard looks at me like, did he just say, even I could hear him in my earpiece, like laughing in the truck. Like, did that kid just say that? And the best part, Andy, is it was so one-word answers until that. And then all of a sudden, this little one-word answer kid rips Pullin fatties. And the best thing is we're all kind of laughing, and he's got this look on his face like, what? Like, what's so funny? Because he only knows that term being used one way. Yeah. He doesn't know the alternate uses of the phrase. Right. So, and even his parents are like, you know what I mean? Like I think they understood. And he didn't. So he's looking at me with this look like, what, Daniel? Like, what is the problem? And I could barely keep it together. So that's my upper. That's great. I got caught off guard. It was great. I was very happy that he said it. It was hilarious. And then my downer is just the keyboard warriors, man. Just the way they hit Dino and Joe. I just have to wonder, like, are we as a society going to ever grow out of this? Is this forever? Because this wasn't a thing forever.
Yeah, I mean, it'll change eventually into something else. But
like, are we as a society going to grow up? Because I've personally grown up. I know you have it. Didn't the Warriors block you on Twitter at one point for things you said?
No, I don't think so.
I thought something happened on Twitter.
Somebody did.
Steve Kerr? Did he block you?
No, I wish he would.
I can't be a hypocrite here, Andy. I've said some awful things on the Dallas Cowboys Instagram page. Like, no question. Over the top. Probably shouldn't have said the things I said about Jerry Jones. So I've done it. But I've grown up. Is society going to grow up, or is this just how it is, where we're just going to just nail people to the wall if we don't like the things they do or say? Is this just it?
These people, I mean, I was telling Daniel off the air that you guys are, most of you people out there hammering Dean right now, if you're listening, are probably the same people that if we went back to your Twitter couple years ago when he was riding Yamaha out of a van with his dad, Andy.
Probably bought his shirt.
And all this stuff. You guys are, oh my gosh, Dean Wilson needs a ride. He's got so much heart. He's such a good dude. This, that, and the
now
other.
You're on there. F you, Dino.
Yeah. So, I mean, sometimes people, I get it. You get heat of the moment, whatever. But come on. You're not out there ripping laps. You don't know what it's like to be out there on the track. Just have a little more grace, man.
I think that's part of the fun, though, is people can just talk their shit. And they know it doesn't matter.
I know, but I feel like...
to your point, yes, I think they will grow up. Think about it. The people who grew up with social media are going to be more mature than... Remember in the early days of the internet?
Well, that's what I wonder.
It was the wild, wild west. You could, things were psychotic.
Joe, when I look at some of the people that hit Dino hard or even like the TV, I hate when they go at Ricky because I just, for me, he's my guy and I love Ricky. So when people talk bad, I get super mad about it. But you go and look at their profile and usually they're like mid-50s. It's like, what are you doing? Like if you were 18, I'd get it. But like the mid-50s guy is like, F you. I'm just like, maybe you shouldn't be on the internet. I don't know. I'm just saying. But yeah, I think society needs to stop. And hopefully something happens here that we all stop doing that because it is... Oh, man. Anyways, so that's my downer. I just think people go a little too far with the things they say. And Joe, to your point, it's a small sport. We're all kind of connected. These riders see everything. Maybe not when there's 5,000 people hitting you hard on Instagram, but Joe, the riders know. And LeBron
or they
James...
may not see the individual comment, but they understand the sentiment.
Yeah, like LeBron probably has no clue what the haters are saying because it's hard to keep up with the 50 million followers. And in my opinion, politicians, you kind of all deserve it. Like I feel like throwing shade at them, I think that's okay because, absolutely, you deserve it because y'all suck. But I hate when the riders get it, especially over something that was a mistake and not like a douche move.
Yeah.
What Dino did, it wasn't a douche move. He doesn't deserve to be told to F off.
Right.
Like all the guys going after Davalos. I mean, come on, man. He just made a mistake. Slid them DMs. It wasn't on purpose.
Andy, don't pull a Vincent and relive the past. We're living in the present, man. Don't go there. He's moved on way past that. All right, Joe, let's take a break. We're going to come back, and we are going to have to rip through... I mean, Joe, I know you got to roll, and we went long. So let's take a break. We'll come back. We got to do our fantasy pick'ems, and then we'll rip through as many listener questions as we can till you bounce. So we'll be right back.
Main event Moto.
Joe, when I think of Blenzall, I think of the smell because it's so good. But that's not fair because it's the quality of their products that really stands out. Go to Blenzall.com and take a look at the catalog. 2-stroke, 4-stroke, they got everything that you need for your motorcycle and it's top quality. I used to be in the oil industry. I know the difference between crappy oil and good oil. Blenzall.com has the best. Check them out. That's what the Motoheads run. Walk out in your garage. Take a look at your bike. You know your graphics are roasted and you need a new set. That's why you go to Old Me Creations to freshen up. High quality, good looks. They are the choice of the Motoheads. That's why you need to put some Old Me Creations on your bike. Not everybody's like Toolman Dan and washes their bike more than they actually ride it. So your bike is probably hammered and it needs some Old Me Creations stat. Again, quality, style, they got you covered. That's why the Motoheads run Old Me Creations. Joe, I have an idea.
Yeah.
Screen printing done. We got to do their commercial, right?
Yes, we do.
Let's do a commercial/tease where we tease our new T-shirt coming out in March.
Ooh-wee.
But then also mention how Neil's the man and screenprintingdone.com is who does all of our stuff.
Right.
Isn't that kind of a good idea? Like a commercial/tease right there?
Yeah.
Well, Neil is the man. You go to screenprintingdone.com if you want to get something custom done like we do. And of course, when March hits, you get that Main Event Moto t-shirt done by Neil at screenprintingdone.com.
Yeah.
So can you turn this into the commercial?
I think we can.
What do you got to do it?
I think we just did.
If you're a true Motohead, then motosport.com is your only choice when it comes to OEM or aftermarket parts for your bike. And when it comes to servicing your bike or giving it the punch you need to perform, it's EMT Racing. With motosport.com, you can get everything you need for your bike with great pricing and ridiculous speed on shipping. And with EMT, it's simple. Take your bike to the experts.
2020 is the year EMT takes over the performance world. If you don't know, now you know.
Your Bat Bros choose motosport.com and EMT Racing, and you should too. I love when NorCal companies take the world by storm. Guts Racing seat covers and no-toil filters are made right here at home, but their products travel the country and world on some of the baddest dudes' bikes in pro racing.
Who runs Guts?
Too many factory teams to list, Joe.
Who runs No Toil?
Well, it's the only filter Chad Reed will run. Guts and No Toil make only the best. So visit gutsracing.com and notoil.com and step up your game, Motoheads.
Moto
How quick do you have to bounce?
2 o'clock. We got like 30, 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah, okay. Let's get into our fantasy pick'em. And again, for everybody that's listening, we do it for you, Joe. Don't we do this with Motoheads?
Yeah.
We do everything for the Motoheads. So we are going to wipe Vincent and Eric's perfect score from the last one that y'all didn't know about. That way we can all stay on track. So yeah, let's do our fantasy pick.
All-American Chevy of Pullin brings you Main Event Moto's Fantasy Pick'em.
All-American Chevy of Colleen, thank you guys so much. Andy, you are the dumbass bass at the moment. What is going on? You are lost.
Nah,
or are you trying to win the thing?
I want to make Vincent just frustrated because I know how much he really enjoyed it. He took so much pride
in being a loser.
Yeah, and I mean, he just I could see it was heartfelt. It was.
He means it.
It was beyond genuine. It was heartfelt when he took that trophy. He was so pumped. I was here for that episode. I felt like I was part of his life when he got that, and so I thought, what better way of wrecking his day? I'll just take the trophy and run.
All right. Well, you're doing a great job. Here's the standings right now for everyone playing along. Toolman Dan, Joe, is at 4-2. You and I are at 3-3, so we're right on his tail. We just need a lapper to get in his way, and then we'll get him. Hobo Nick, V Money, and Eric and I are all 2-4, and then Andrew is 1-5. Just somehow got one right. Obviously going for 0-6, but screwed up and got one right. Let's go this week. A-Ray, does he make the main? Made it early. I think did he make the second one too, or he didn't? I don't know. What are you looking at, Joe? You have the result sheet over there? Would you print it out or something?
No, but just getting my notepad ready. I can write down my stuff.
Looking all serious over there like you had some notes. A-Ray, main or no? Joe, I'll go to you first.
I'm gonna say yeah. I like the guy.
It's Ruddy though, dude. And when it's Ruddy, he gets nutty.
Ruddy is nutty.
I'm
gonna say shit. You changed my mind. I'm gonna say no.
Oh, poor A-Ray. Andy?
Unfortunately, I was going to say no.
You're going to stick with no?
Yep.
I'm going to say yes. I think A-Ray gets in there. I had to be an oppositer. I have nothing to back it up other than you guys said no, so I'll say yes. Next one. Does Husky get anybody in the top 5? Andy, you made a great point during the break. Please share.
Yeah, I said that last year, the last round, Salt Lake City, they sweep the podium, and this year they can't seem to get a top 5 rider, and I am just beside myself. So I'm taking that they're going to get a top 5 this weekend. I think, like you just said, the track's going to be ruddy.
Zach.
I think Zach, and Zach's a closer. Like every round so far this year, he's actually been really fast at the end of the race.
I know, he just
but little tip overs in corners or coming together with somebody else that's already fallen or whatever the scenario. And I mean, the speed is not the problem. It's just been little hiccups. And so I'm taking a yes on that one because it's gonna be ruddy and he's comfortable with ruts and he's gonna get it.
Joe, top 3 at the final round of Salt Lake, sweeps the podium. Even though Anderson lost his seat and almost got off there, man, Andy.
Yeah, jeez.
Toolman takes shots at you every time he's on here just because, but I know it wasn't your fault, but it was a gut seat that flew off his bike.
Well, you know what?
I love the look on his face, and he's not. Look at him, Joe. Look at his face. Look at his face right now.
It might have been they weren't using a Motion Pro T-handle when they were tightening the bolt. Maybe it was a Chinese T-handle, and it just couldn't handle the torque. I don't know.
Chinese T-handle, Joe. Write that down as a possible show title. Yes or no? I'm gonna say yes too. I think Zacho gets in there. I think he gets top 5.
This hurts, but no.
No. What a hater, dude. He's just gonna drop nose all over. All right, how about this one then? Max Folen. Been creeping on that top 5. Joe, does Max get a top 5 at Indy 1?
I'm going with a trifecta. No.
No? What a jerk, dude. Andy, what about you?
I take no pleasure in that, no, but I live in reality.
Yeah, I'm a believer. Give him a yes.
Give him a yes?
Yeah.
I'll say no, but just not yet. It's a little too early.
I'm on the fence because I feel like he's the 6th place guy, but I want to. My head is telling. How's that song go?
The R. Kelly song.
But my body is telling me yeah. My heart says yes. My head says no. I'm going to go with my heart because I can't help myself. I'm going with a yes for Max Folen gets the top 5, but I kind of don't think so yet, but I want it to happen so bad that I'm going to say yes. I'm willing to sacrifice my true beliefs for the win, Joe, because that's how much I support Max. So I'll go yes. We'll get the rest of the guys, their scores or their picks. But yeah, so A-Ray making the main, yes or no, for everyone playing along. Husky top 5, yes or no. Max Folen top 5, yes or no. All right, Joe, let's do it. Scott USA Prospect Listener Questions.
Scott USA and the Prospect Goggle. The goggle choice for those in contract with other brands.
Congratulations to Adam Cinciarillo. Just want to throw that out there. And for no reason. I'm not lining it up with Scott Prospect Listener Questions or anything. I'm not doing that on purpose or anything. But congratulations to Adam Cinciarillo. Obviously, his vision could have been a little better. He probably would have won if he would have had some prospects on. That's whatever. All right. I don't know. I'm waiting to get in trouble. I'm trying to get in trouble over that. And it's not happening. All right, first one, Joe. Florida Man 330 comes out with, did Woodcock go into the whoops a bit stiff? First off, I don't like making jokes when someone gets hurt because he got hurt and that sucks. But Florida Man, I get it. And it's great. It's good job. I get it. But Joe, I don't know. Do we even answer that? I mean, the guy got hurt. We don't go there, do we? Or do we? Andy, did he come in a little stiff?
Did he go in a little stiff?
Andy?
Is that what led to that?
Maybe if he was a little more flaccid, it wouldn't have been
a little more.
it wouldn't have been so rough.
A little more loose.
Okay, Dylan Bryant 599. How much did @producer Joe Gallo pay Dino to be the lead blocker last night? Joe, Coop's your guy. Did you have any influence on that?
No, I did not.
Andy, did you have any influence on that?
Well, I was starting to think maybe you did because you said you predicted Cooper to win.
Yeah, you called it live.
And so you must have went around the pits and said, "Hey, I got $500 to the guy. Make sure that Cooper wins." And
hey, man,
I think it might be you. You're trying to shade it. You're like a magician, right? You're look over here at this hand. So you're trying to blame Joe, but really it was you? I don't know.
Try to deflect.
Yep. No. You think that I take the silly nonsense that I spit out all the time that serious that I would actually have $500 on the line? Trust me, I don't bet more than $1 anymore because I lose every bet. So no, Andy, it was Joe. So next one, Kurt Evans 4T. Glad to see this season you're rocking the arm tats on the night show. Just curious what finally changed your mind. In all reality, in Salt Lake, it was warm and I had to wear a polo and because I couldn't wear my jacket, so I had no choice. And once I did it, I kind of just felt like it was fine from then on. And I've lost a lot of weight. So that's the only shirt that fits me right now. It's a medium and I don't have anything. So even though I was a little chilly in there last night, I don't have a jacket. And the one I do have is so big, I literally look like it looks like I'm wearing a trench coat. So I don't really have a choice at the moment. Then I just haven't thought about it until you just asked that. So, that's that. Joe, the next one is from my buddy Corey Heft. He says, I've always really liked Dino, but today he should be punched in the face.
Damn.
So, Corey, see, this is what I'm talking about. All right, Corey, that's too much. Well, actually, no, he didn't. Did he tag him? No, he didn't tag him. So we are okay right there.
But what's the question? It's more of a statement, right? He should just be punched in the face.
Yeah, it wasn't a Scott USA Prospect Listener question. I think Corey just wants to punch Dean in the face, which is a little harsh. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's Corey, come on. Here's the next one from Jackie21. Just saying, if Jets pass on Mosman would have been Ferrandis, everyone would be losing their shit and saying it was dirty. And why did it seem like weren't waving the blue flags at Dino? Let's just answer the first question. Because it's Jet, does he get a pass on the takeout of Mosby? Because he gave it to him pretty good, right? There was no other outcome. There was no other outcome. There was not a, hey, he'll be okay. And then he goes on the podium and even said on the podium, yeah, I had to get a little dirty with him. And I'm like, Jet, don't say those words, man, when they're reviewing the tape. But if that was Ferrandis, what would have happened if Ferrandis took Mosman out right there?
Oh, wow. It would have sounded like there was 150,000 fans in the stadium.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought the max capacity was 10,000, not 150,000.
America just doesn't like France. I mean, I don't know what it is. It's just it's just a thing across the board.
There's a long history there.
Yeah.
Next one, Florida Man 330. Oh, man, I feel like I'm walking into a trap here, Joe. Do I ask it?
Say it.
I'm hoping that nobody even picks up on this question, but do you think Justin Herbert picked Austin Forkner for his fantasy team? That's not cool, right? I think I'm just going to move on. Hopefully no one gets that. Next one, Jets move on Mosman. Dirty or aggressive. Also, is Colt the man to beat? Yeah, I mean...
We already answered
Yep. Steve Ponton. Will it make any real difference to Craig's chances of a 450 ride if he wins this year? Depleted field and on the best bike, I'm not sure his stock changes at all. Ooh, that's actually a really good question because Christian wants to go 450. Winning that title increases his odds, but at the same time, if Shane wouldn't have won the title last year, would that have changed his outcome? Does he land somewhere different or does he land in the exact same spot? Does the actual title move him somewhere else? So does Christian get a 450 ride if he wins the title with a depleted field and on the best bike? Is Andy? That's a really good question.
I don't see how you could ever say depleted field. That is really just your personal opinion of the riders. So, because I mean, if we had the time to sit here and go through history, I'm sure we could find many years where you kind of look and go, well, that wasn't much competition, and the guy still ended up with a really solid ride when they moved on. So I wouldn't let that be the deciding factor. I think what it boils down to is what 450 rides would be available. That's really what it boils down to. What rides will be available? And yes, I'm going to take a guy that rode. Okay, so you have to pick Austin Forkner or Christian Craig. I'm taking Christian Craig. He made it to every round. He might have not been the fastest. He won the championship.
So you would, if you were a factory team right now, would you take Craig over Forkner on a 450?
Like, I've said this about Malcolm. I've said it about a lot of other riders. The ones that historically get hurt, even if they're the fastest, they're hard to pick as a team owner because you need that bike. You're selling to a sponsor. Whoever sponsor is, you're selling it to them. Not industry sponsors like me. I'm saying like corporate America. You're selling it to them that your bike is going to be at the track in front of this many fans week in, week out. And then you got to call them and say, oh, well, that guy we told you about,
we don't have
right
him
now, but in 3 weeks he'll be back. Don't worry, guys. How do you think they want to, like, they don't want to hear that.
Right. So, but would they rather take a shot on a guy who might not be there all the time, but it's going to go and get you a couple wins? Or do you want the guy that's always going to be there? I mean,
that's where it just goes back to that sponsor relationship.
And it has to be someone that's automatically, like, if a guy's injury prone, but you know you're going to win 5 or 6 races, like you're going to take a shot on the guy. It's worth the risk, right? But at the same time, if you have two guys that are very similar in speed and talent and maybe results, you're probably going to go with the guy that can pull it off. But then Christian's had his years too, where he hasn't. That's a hard one. That'd be a really hard one. Leads into the next question though. Mapret 140. Is Cowie going to drop Forkner? I mean, we never really put our stamp on it. Joe, is Austin on Pro Circuit Monster Energy Kawasaki next year?
I think so.
So you think he's back? You think it works itself out? He's back.
Yeah.
Andy.
I'm gonna have to just say no. I think that Mitch has got people coming up. They got other riders out there. At some point, like you gotta keep that door moving. You can't just. It's
like Christian Craig went to Star.
Yeah,
he needed a new scenery. He needed something different. That's why Shane did it. I mean, if there's no crazy dramatic reason to leave, yeah, it's hard to leave. But I'm wondering if they're wearing themselves out of each other. Like I said, Mitch has got to be frustrated, and Austin's probably like, God, I just need to do something different. And that seems to be working over there, Star or maybe factory KTM. Like I said, I know KTM was interested in him a year or two ago when he was a free agent to go straight factory. That was being discussed. So, Joe, I'd say the odds are you're right, but I just got this little feeling that when it's all said and done, he's going to look for something different, and they're going to be like, "Good, go for it." Then that's just my guess. So I'm going to lean. I'm like 50-50, but I'm going to lean. I think he goes somewhere else.
I think so.
Okay. Next one. How many times did V Money replay Mookie through the whoops with his pass on Marv? I think Vincent's still watching it right now. Over. Joe, did you see his Instagram?
No, I didn't.
Vincent's Instagram stories are pretty good. Like, pretty good half the time, and then really good like 4 or 5 of them. And he went off last night on Marvin. I mean, he just can't let up, Joe. It's borderline probably time to move on. But he literally, having Malcolm swap out in the whoops and then hit Marvin and take him out, Vincent could not have celebrated harder on Instagram. And if you're not following him, you might want to. He's pretty entertaining during the races. He watches the races live, and he says the things that you all expect him to say. So if you're a fan of his, follow him on Instagram. And if you are not a fan of his, don't watch his Instagram story. You will really hate him. Next one, Will Goodwin. Do you think Webb was lining up Kenny regardless of the Wilson incident? Joe already said yes. I think he was trying to, but I don't think he would have got him because, again, I don't think he had the raw speed on him. He was using the track and the scenario to get back up to him. I don't think he had that crazy raw speed. I don't think he would have got him.
I don't think so. I mean, of course, if he had the chance, do you think he would have squared him up? Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
But he wasn't there last night. He got gifted a circumstance that gave him the chance.
Braptastic. Does the Dino fiasco propel talks about some form of in-helmet communication? Actually, Andy, I don't remember if we've talked about this. I feel like maybe we have because I know you would know this world a little bit more, but do you think that's a good idea in the sport?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think that's the best part of it is that
the unknown, that
you don't have somebody, you don't have somebody telling you in your ear what's happening around you. Let these guys ride from their gut instinct.
Right. Joe, what do you think? Would you like... See, I would like it if we had access to it and we could hear it. Like, I like when they mic up an NFL player or they get inside a NASCAR. I like that part of it from a fan's perspective. But from the racing side, I don't really have a feeling.
It would add a whole new element. And what I would like to see it done is at like Monster Cup. That's where they do it.
They allowed it
at an exhibition or something.
But are you with me? I want to hear. I mean, we need.
Yeah,
I would
of course.
Like access to it.
Yeah, I want to hear it. Well, I mean, what not? They would. Yeah, I would want to hear it eventually, but it would be such a drastic change and add a whole new dynamic that it would. I don't know. It would change the sport like dramatically.
Kind of. I think it would too.
Especially the odds, because what do you do? Privateers, like
do they have it
when you were out there, trying your best? Who's
Hobo Nick talking to me in my ear?
Who's the dude in your ear?
Hobo Nick,
yeah,
dude. You think I want that guy talking to me in the middle of a race? He'd be like, "Hey man, we getting Olive Garden after this? Or are we going to Outback?" And I'd be like, Olive Garden.
But I like it in the exhibition races.
I do too. And Andy, to Joe's point, it could change things for the worse. We don't know. You know what I mean? It could be cool, but it's also a risk that it could be worse. And I like what you're saying, though, the rider being a little alone out there. You know what I mean? You get the pit board, but these guys ain't looking at that pit board very much. So, yeah, I lean towards probably no. But then, like Joe said, off-season races, it'd be really cool to hear them. It'd add another layer to some of those races. And maybe as a trial run, I like that part of it, but I don't like it as just being wide open. Because, again, the privateers, do they even have access to that? And that's another thing they got to pay for. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I like it. Next one, the Moto log. This will be our last one. Whose tears fill up a bucket first? Oh, man. Faulkner's, because when it comes time to step up, he historically weeds it. Or Roxon's, because he feels everyone is out to get him.
I'm going with Austin.
I would say Faulkner, too.
I mean, obviously, Kenny's bent about the 4 points. He's bent about this race, but Austin's now had 3 championships in a row that had a shot at it, and it's out. He's done. So it's got to, Austin, it's warranted, right? If I'm him right now, think about it from the personal side, too. He's wrecked right now. Like, that sucks for him, man. The dude works hard. I know he's unlikable to some. I personally like him. But you got to feel for the guy. He's devastated right now. This is 3 years in a row. He could think about it. He grew up battling with Chase Sexton, beating him most of the time as an amateur, and now Sexton's out there fastest qualifier, winning his heat races on factory Honda in the 450, and he now for the 3rd year in a row is out of a championship and nothing to show for it in the 250 class. Like, if you're Austin, you're probably like, what the hell, man? And so I would sympathize with him way more.
That's kind of like Alessi. His whole career, he just dominates Villopoto, and then they get there to the big show, and it's roles flip.
Right, and then unless he doesn't end up with any titles and Villopoto ends up on the Mount Rushmore.
Yep.
That happens sometimes. Even at this point with Webb and Cinderella, like, AC got the better of Webb most of their amateur career, and then Webb now definitely has a better resume as a pro. Happens sometimes, and it's just it's unfortunate. But yeah, for Forkner again, I'm devastated for the guy. But good show, Joe. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Glad to be home for 3 days and then gone again for another week and a half. Andy, good to see you.
Yeah.
I'm glad everything's doing well. Huge shout out to Fly Racing, Mika Metal, Scott USA, EMT Racing, Motosport.com, Olmi Creations, Race Tech, and DRS Suspension. Ooh, just making that bike so plush. Guts Racing again. Main Event Moto is a code at gutsracing.com. Buy a seat cover. The girls in the shop are pretty hot, and they're probably the ones packaging it, so that's pretty cool, right, Andy?
Yep.
They don't want your ass.
No,
packaging nothing.
They touch everything.
Wow. Joe, show title. They touch everything. No Toil, Blenzall, All-American Chevy of Killeen, ScreenPrintingDone.com. Thank you guys so much. This is episode 185. Andy, thanks for coming in.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Joe, I love you.
You too, buddy.
Good show.
Main Event Moto. Screw it. You know it by now.